What is up, guys, and welcome to the Casual Wrestling YouTube channel. This is the Mike and D Show, where we bring you fast-paced answers to wrestling's biggest questions. I am Nerdy D, joined as always by Milwaukee Mike. And today we have a jam-packed show to run through. If you want to support the channel, you can do that through YouTube Super Chats or grabbing a Casual Wrestling YouTube membership, which is just $2.99 right now. It's a steal of a deal for the content we bring you. Housekeeping, there is going to be a SummerSlam, we're calling it Main Event Roman Reigns Watch Party on August 3rd. It will start when the main event starts. So we will sync up, start during the main event, and then we'll run through the end of SummerSlam, and we'll do a post-show celebration of the return of Roman Reigns, because he's coming. There's coming. No way we leave SummerSlam disappointed. It can't happen.
Can't happen.
Update on the audio versions of the podcast. I'm going to get it all straightened up and get caught up and uploaded this week. And then from now on, audio versions are going to drop 2 days after the actual version because of how YouTube is uploading, and then I have to download the audio and transfer it over because we're live now. So I'm going to get that back up and running. They'll just be like 48 hours after the official version of the show. So if you still like the audio versions, they'll be back up and organized by the end of the week. And then the last thing is, Mike, Twitch. We're going to start streaming Twitch as well. We're going to add Twitch. So we added TikTok. Now we're going to add Twitch. Twitch gives us some opportunities to do some things with the community that we can't do right now. YouTube limits some of the polls and things we can do to get interactivity between like brackets and things like that. So we're gonna add Twitch into the repertoire. So we'll just be multi-streaming all over the place. We'll be all over the internet.
Like SummerSlam and stuff?
Yeah, it'll start for SummerSlam.
Okay.
It's not a hard thing to get up and running.
I got you.
Let's start at SummerSlam. SummerSlam will be the first official day that we go live on Twitch as well. So Mike, start the show as we always do. I want to hear your rating on Monday Night Raw before we get going.
Yeah, I think that was about a 7 last night. It was kind of bordering an 8, right? I think the story progression was fantastic. I think the opener with Damian and Gunther was good. It was needed. You know, it kind of it showed that Gunther is definitely going heel now, and I think obviously with that, Damian is now obviously a babyface. If it wasn't clear before, it's clear now. I'm excited for that match, man. I was excited before, but I think last night with the brawl and carrying over commercial breaks, it really kind of. Listen, man. I looked at that card. There's not a filler. There's not a filler.
No,
I think
not at all.
There's not a filler, you know, and I think each segment, I mean, the CM Punk Drew McIntyre segment, I think last week I was like, hey, CM Punk, you got to let us know if you're clear or not. Sure enough, clear.
Did it.
You know, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, we'll get into that, I think, briefly here.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Outside of, I think, what we've all kind of criticized in the Discord, as we're touting them now, the stud line.
I love the stud line.
the stud line. Outside of the stud line with their couple segments, I think it was a solid 7.
I'm with you. That's exactly where I put it, and that for exact same reasons and everything. I quickly on SummerSlam before we get going here. This kind of proves, Mike, the need for one night events to me. The fact that this is what WrestleMania could be. Just 7 straight up banger matches. Instead, you add those filling in. It scares me when we start going to these 2-night premium live events that we might be stretching out too far. I like what we have with SummerSlam this weekend. What's up? Lauren's in the chat. Good Real Hunting is in the chat right now. I'm sure a couple people will stumble in as we go, Mike. But I want to start the show because we have been a show that is critical of Liv Morgan. We've never been negative about her. We've always given her props when she deserved her props, but we've been critical of Liv Morgan. I want to start this show by asking you a simple question. Did Liv Morgan officially ascend into superstardom last night?
I don't think so. And the reason I say that is because it's based on a couple things, right? I think with Liv Morgan, I think the first question you have to ask about Liv Morgan is 6 months from now, is this little run that she's going on, is that going to be truly remembered? Now, obviously, we don't see what the ending is going to be yet. But when we look back, at present time, 6 to 8 months, maybe a year from now, how are we going to look back and think of her run currently? I think that's one question, right? The next question is, when her music hits, how do you feel? Because when you compare it to other superstars in the company, I'll stick to mainly women, right? Your Becky Lynch, your Charlotte Flair, your Bianca Belair, Tiffany Stratton. When their music hits, you kind of scoot up on your chair a little bit and you get a little excited, right? You might even sing along to their song or bob your head. When she comes out, it's kind of like, all right, and my next, I guess, point or question would be, without the return of Rhea Ripley, what would this really be? Right? Without the insert, without inserting Dom and Rhea Ripley, what does this do for now? I get, storytelling and everything. That's how you kind of build somebody. I get it. It makes sense. But I was critical before of Liv because I said, what is she going to do when she's on her own and she doesn't have that supporting superstar to run a story with her? And that's kind of what I've been thinking recently now, especially with the return of Rhea Ripley, is because whenever Liv got on screen, we were all anticipating the return of Rhea Ripley. It was never like, what's Liv going to do with so-and-so? It was always like, okay, Rhea's going to come. She had the story with Becky Lynch. So she's had that kind of supporting cast, with her as time goes on. So, superstar, I don't quite see her as a superstar now. Hey, there could be time added to this. It could all change. But right now, I think she's an attraction. I think you get a little bit excited because the story that she's in is intriguing, but I can't put her as a superstar.
Awesome. What's up, Wavy D? Wavy D says he can't listen live right now. He's podcasting, but we'll talk later, Wavy D. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate to what you just said, because there I see these similarities in Liv Morgan and AJ Lee, and I see similarities in how they ascended to what we call superstardom. I think we could make the same arguments about AJ Lee that you're making with Liv Morgan, and that is AJ Lee was so reliant on the people around her to ascend to that level of superstardom, but I don't necessarily know that that's a bad thing, right? AJ Lee used Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Kane, Dolph Ziggler, Big E. She used all of these people to create this kind of crazy character that we all fell in love with. And I see Liv Morgan taking that same path, and it's a path that is a little bit more protected than, like you say, a Becky Lynch who maybe had to earn it, or a Charlotte Flair who had to earn it. But I don't necessarily think that's the only way to reach that superstar level. When we talk about, do you get excited to hear Liv Morgan's music? Maybe not, but I do get excited when Dominic Mysterio interacts with her. I know that something fun is going to happen in that moment, and I think in the same way that Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley really helped each other out, because we got to think back to the beginning of the Judgment Day, Rhea Ripley was not the star she is today. A lot of that can be attributed to the relationship with Dominic Mysterio, and so I see this ability 6 months from now for Liv Morgan to just step in and take that role with Dominic Mysterio. I believe that 6 months from now, Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan will still be in a story together, while Rhea Ripley will have peeled off and be doing her own thing. I think defining what a superstar is different than a main eventer, right? I don't think Liv Morgan can main event and hold people's attention, but I think at this point, after the promo she cut yesterday, the way she's willing to use her sexuality to sell her character, I do think she officially became a superstar. I think that, the IWC's been kind of gooning over her for a long time, but I think that casual fans and everybody kind of woke up and saw, okay, I'm starting to get that this character can hold attention. I think there's part of me that thinks the Rhea Ripley lick of the face was a little bit too like, hey, remember me. I'm still a part of this. as we kind of get drug away into this idea that this story is becoming more and more about Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. And I believe, just like who said it in the chat here, someone said it, but that I 100% believe we're headed towards Dominic Mysterio costing Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam.
Yeah, so I guess I'll play devil's advocate off your devil's advocate, right?
Okay.
So first, I guess just a quick point. I think Liv Morgan is the female version of Dominic Mysterio. Like there's that kind of connection where decent in the ring, little comical, can get into a storyline, can cut a promo, but isn't necessarily somebody that we, I guess, maybe take super serious. I guess maybe that's why their pairing makes a lot of sense. But I guess my devil's advocate off of you is, and I was thinking about this earlier, could she have been better on SmackDown? And I say this because you look at the roster on SmackDown compared to Raw, and you think of her involvement with Judgment Day. I'm comparing it to a faction on SmackDown. What happens if she would have tried to take control of Damage Control?
Yeah, I see that.
And went for the title off of Bayley and kind of ran things that way instead of coming into Judgment Day where there's kind of that competition with Rhea Ripley. There's a whole situation with the Judgment Day. I just, that's just kind of where my mind is at right now. Like, could she have been better in terms of elevating to superstardom and kind of being a top threat? I think she would have made more sense, trying to take over Damage Control compared to but again, the story's still being written. I could just be talking out of my ass right now, but
I think credibility wise, you're correct. Like as far as I think though she had history with Rhea Ripley. I think they were dropping the Dominic Mysterio hints all along. I think from I will say your comparison to Dominic Mysterio is extremely accurate, and I'm going to say this because I think that Liv, like Dom, is starting to understand what her path to success looks like.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be being the best wrestler, right? She understands. Right. She started to kind of and I think with the rules of like Netflix kind of starting to open up and them allowing a little bit more mature and like leaning into that, I think Liv sees that like, hey, sexuality is my like playing into this IWC loves me and these guys are all over me. Like she understands, and that makes her, I think, a superstar in my eyes. The same way I would argue right now that I can hate Dominic Mysterio, but he dominates Monday Night Raw. Yeah. So much of Monday Night Raw is orbiting Dominic Mysterio and what he does. I mean, everything Rhea Ripley, everything Liv Morgan. He's in scenes with Finn Balor. He's in scenes with Jey Uso. He's involved. He's got his hand in everything. So I'd argue right now that for as much shit as I talked about Dominic Mysterio, I'd consider him a superstar right now. If you start and it may be a fun thing to do one week is to really break down on each side of the roster, SmackDown and Raw, and kind of rank the baby faces and the heels and try to get a clearer picture of, where these people go. The thing I'll say about Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio comparison, Dominic Mysterio gets lost because the men's roster is just littered with stars, right?
Yeah.
But on the women's side, the comp of Dominic Mysterio almost makes you like top 3 on Raw as far as women go. So I think that's the argument I would make. I do understand that she's unconventional. She's not going to be a Becky Lynch. She's not going to be a Charlotte or a Bianca Belair. She's never going to wow you. But I think as long as she's allowed to lay into this crazy, we headed towards that like Live Extreme thing, and that was such a bad character. Yeah, it was so broken. It was like a Hardy Boy, and she was jumping off of shit, and it just was always like, this feels forced. Yeah. This version of Liv Morgan, to me, feels like it can work long term.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right, Mike, I was scrolling through Facebook, and I came across a clip of Rikishi. Does he have his own podcast? Is that what that is?
Yeah, he's got his own podcast. Okay,
so he has his own podcast, and I've been honest about this. I don't listen to wrestling podcasts because I don't like to get my opinion swayed by them, but I did stop to pay attention to what he was saying in this clip, and Rikishi called out WWE for the booking of Jey Uso and he hinted at the idea that WWE was trying to break up Jey Uso's marriage by putting him in a storyline with Rhea Ripley. Do you agree with Rikishi?
See, and we kind of brought it up pre-show a little bit. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I can't take that serious, man, because it's like, we see what's going on with Dom right now.
Yeah,
he's got a fucking fiance.
Yeah,
I think Jey Uso has enough, credibility within the company that he can be like, yeah, I'm good with this, or no, I don't want to do that. And I think in terms of like the thought of booking with him, I think he's been booked perfectly.
Yeah, I think we've had this conversation, right?
Yeah. Like, obviously, like, could he have won a title, within the last year or so? Like, absolutely. You could have pulled the trigger 100%. But we all knew that, like, this is culminating with him returning to the bloodline. So when Rikishi's talking, I've got to imagine that he knows, or he's been told, like, okay, hey, this is what's going to happen, or this is what's being talked about. And, maybe it's for, maybe he's trying to get clicks, that's the business that we're in. But yeah, I listen, man, I think Jay's had, if not one of the best years and runs that we've seen in quite some time.
Yeah, it's wild to me. It almost, like, I'm with you. It has to be this idea that, when you sit down to make notes for a podcast, sometimes you slip something in there and you go, this will get him going. Right?
Yeah,
and it feels like that has to be what it is, because he came from the most Wild West time of professional wrestling when anything went. And then to pretend like Jey Uso has been like dipped into this story in the same way that Dominic Mysterio has, like, you're exactly right. Dominic Mysterio has a fiance. That's not a marriage. This is a fresh relationship, and she's having to watch him get licked in the face by Rhea Ripley and have Liv Morgan literally dry hump him on a weekly basis on television. So Rikishi's a little bit out of his mind. I hope it's for clicks, because there's a level of arrogance that came in some of the statements of, like, the way Jey Uso should be booked. Does he just think every Samoan should have every title on the roster right now?
And for me, he brought up, well, he's got nothing for SummerSlam. He's gonna be at SummerSlam.
Yeah,
like come on, man. Like, Jey Uso's not gonna be at the hottest show to some. Like, give me a break, man.
And that sometimes, unfortunately, that's just the way it falls in line. Drew McIntyre has been victim of that. Bobby Lashley fell victim to that quite a few times. That the card doesn't go in the direction that you thought it was going to go, and there's not enough time. And so, sure, Jey Uso doesn't have a match at SummerSlam. Like you said, he'll be involved. There will be some way to get him involved in SummerSlam. They will play his music. He will come to the ring. He could be the host. There's a million ways to get Jey Uso involved that don't require wrestling. And to be quite honest, a lot of you guys open my eyes, especially you, Mike. When I watch Jey in the ring, he's not great.
No,
he's not great. Basic. Like, it is a character thing, and y'all open my eyes to that, and it doesn't bother me. I still am a huge Jey Uso fan, but there's something to be said about, like, earning your spot and deserving your spot, and complaining about your booking. Like, Jey Uso, there's another step he has to take. There's another level he has to reach before we can't just hand him a title. He does have to ascend.
He's a tag team wrestler, so you can see his moveset is dedicated to tag team wrestling, and it's fine, and it's worked. It's worked so far, so,
Good Real Hunting said, I could see Jey Uso doing something with Jelly Roll. I'm in.
I'm in with that.
I'm in. Them eating together.
Eating with Jelly Roll. That would be hilarious.
I'm in. That's it. It works. Like, you booked it. You booked it, Good Real Hunting.
That's it. I'm with it.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Rikishi. Get your podcast. Get it clicks. But that was some wild shit to say.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
All right, last topic before we get to our bracket battle today here, Mike, is how do you feel about Seth Rollins being added as the special guest referee to CM Punk Drew McIntyre? Do you think that this story needed a referee?
So the way the story has kind of evolved, it makes sense. I think there's some bits and pieces that they could have added to make it make more sense, right? Like, now Drew apologizing to the referees, that makes sense now. But in the moment, it was like, well, what? Why does he have to apologize? Yeah. You know, the attacking of the refs and CM Punk and him kind of having to be held back all the time. So, you know, putting somebody like a Seth Rollins in there where, you know, he's an annoyance to both of them. To call a match between them two, you know, it just, listen, it gets Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. It keeps the feud between him and McIntyre and him and Punk alive. I'm assuming there's going to be some kind of foolery that happens with Seth and those two at SummerSlam that keeps things going. And I think ultimately we're heading towards, you know, Seth versus CM Punk at WrestleMania. I think that's, you know,
gotcha.
I think that's probably where we're going. Because one thing that's been very clear is that Triple H is a long-term booker.
Yeah.
And I could see that being the end goal. So I don't have a problem with it. It's going to get the crowd hype. It makes sense with the story. You know, whatever.
So I have a theory. I have a little bit of a theory of how we came to get to this point. I think this was always the plan. It was always CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins is going to be special guest referee. I think they thought CM Punk was going to get cleared earlier, maybe Money in the Bank. And I really think that maybe the original plan before Drew cashing in and getting the belt, I mean, that was to do CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre 1 at Money in the Bank and have it end with them destroying referees and not following rules. And that leading to the story of we need somebody who can enforce this. I think because they couldn't do that, they had to rewrite it and get to this point in a different direction. And it just feels like something was missing. One piece of the story was missing to get to where Seth Rollins is the referee, because I think at SummerSlam, I would have preferred it be CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre just straight up and have them in the match by taking out the referee, and another referee comes out and they take out another referee and they're just fighting and they're bloody. And this thing, it's like it can't end. And finally Adam Pearce comes out and just calls the match, just says, it's done. You guys are done. If you guys can't play nice with referees, have Seth Rollins music hit, have him come out. You could insert him in the match there or hold it till the next premium live event. It feels like it was like, push the brakes, hit the gas, push the brakes. And it does feel like a little bit of a mess. I don't think this match needed Seth Rollins. It feels more like, how do we get Seth Rollins on the SummerSlam card to me? That's what it feels like.
Yeah, my only concern with it is just the fan involvement during this match and them probably trying to sing Seth Rollins' song 10,000 times and taking away from the actual spectacle that is supposed to be CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. Obviously, I think we all can agree this is going to be a 2 or 3 match rivalry at some point. I think this probably ends at Bad Blood because you can't really have it go further than that. I mean, because then you got to start setting up, for next year and WrestleMania, which I think there's, other plans in place. But yeah, I guess that's probably my only concern is that the crowd is just going to be singing all the freaking night, and we're going to kind of be distracted from the actual thing that's happening in the ring.
Here's my fear. This is my fear, is that Gunther wins at SummerSlam. Let's just say, hypothetical, right? Okay. Becomes world champion. My fear is that in Germany, they have a plan to do Gunther versus Drew McIntyre. Mm-hmm. And so my fear is that we got to this point and they're literally going to pull Drew out of the CM Punk stuff and give us CM Punk Seth Rollins right now and then do something different at WrestleMania. That's my fear. I'm not saying it's going to happen. That is a fear of mine, is that the way these pieces are being placed on a board. What is the biggest main event you could make for Gunther in Germany?
I think it's probably the way
I know you're going to say Dragunov. I just don't, from casual wrestling fans' point of view, I don't think it's him. I know that IWC loved that match.
The way I see it going is that there's going to be something that happens at SummerSlam between Gunther and Damian.
Okay.
Damian's going to retain.
Okay.
Because you can't declare Damian a babyface and then he just with Gunther, but
I'm with you on this. Where you're going, I'm with you. So I'm just playing devil's advocate on the what do you do in Germany? Because I'm with you. I think Damian retains.
I think because with Gunther showing that he's a true heel now, I could see some foolery with the Judgment Day and Damian that gets Damian even more of a babyface push. I think the way I would have it, Damian retains. You get a rematch in Germany. That's where you can pull the trigger on Gunther.
Okay, I'm with you on that.
I think that's where you have to go. Because I'm with you. You can't pluck Drew from CM Punk.
No, I don't think you can. I'm just it scares me.
No, I get it. Yeah. No, that would be stupid, and I don't think Triple H is stupid.
I don't either. I hope not.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question because I'm looking at the card real quick.
Yeah.
Triple H not big on title switches, a bunch of title switches on the same night. So we look at this card, Cody and Solo. We know Cody keeps, right? We assume Damian and Gunther. I think based on the rest of this card, it's fair to assume Damian retains. Liv and Rhea, I still have Liv retaining.
Yeah.
So do you think both the IC and the United States Championship switch at SummerSlam? That would be LA Knight beating Logan Paul and Braun Breaker beating Sami Zayn.
Yes.
So you think okay?
I could see that happening, and I will say this is gonna be an extremely hot take. I could see a scenario where Cody loses.
Interesting. So here's the other one. You think Bayley's retaining with Nia? I don't think Nia can handle another loss.
Well, I think Tiffany's gonna screw her.
Okay.
I think,
Shenanigans.
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
Yeah.
I get you. Yeah. That's fair. That can work.
Yeah.
So you're a hot take. You think Cody can?
I don't see it. If I had to if I'm betting with my money, I'm not making that bet. But I could see a scenario. I could see a scenario where that does happen.
Let me ask you a question.
I think it would be fun because Triple H could throw us all the fuck off. And I think go ahead.
Oh, because I'm playing into I'm following your line of thought here. What if, Mike? What if SummerSlam main event, Cody, Solo Sikoa. It's coming down to the end. The Bloodline are involved. Roman's music hits.
Mm-hmm.
What if he spears Cody?
I could see it.
What if he's still in the Bloodline?
I 100%. I could see that. Listen,
and then he takes out Solo and he reclaims his group.
That's what I was kind of thinking.
Oh.
Like, let's take Cody out because I got an easy W over here with Solo. Yeah, man. It's one of those things that like you know it's not going to happen, but you kind of hope that Triple H does.
Well, it feels like Triple H tends to take the most obvious thing and go, nope, we're not going to do that.
Right. That's why
so now you got me thinking. Thinking because there's some tricky. It's you gotta work some elements there because if he spears Cody, he doesn't want Solo to win because Solo's been talking shit.
Right.
Maybe he just takes everybody out. Maybe Roman just comes back and fucks everybody.
I can see that. I can see that too.
I'm not against that.
Yeah.
All right, Mike.
I'll make final predictions next week.
Yeah, definitely. We'll hit official predictions next week. So let's do our bracket battle.
Mm-hmm.
Let me bring this up here. Okay. Bracket battle. Greatest women's wrestler of all time. We've decided that these predictions now, you're choosing for the community.
Okay.
So this becomes the community's greatest women's wrestler of all time.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to put in the Discord, I'm going to put little banners up for each one that we pick.
I got a lot of weight on my shoulders here. Yeah.
Right. A lot of weight on your shoulders. And we can, they can chime in. They can try to sway the vote, but I got you. It's up to you. You are representing us in this.
I got you.
Right here. Okay. Alexa Bliss versus AJ Lee.
Ooh. Wow. Coming out hard.
Chat right now. We've got one for AJ Lee. 2 for AJ Lee now. Lauren says Alexa Bliss. Lauren didn't get to watch. Another Blaze God says AJ.
I think I'm leaning Alexa.
Okay.
Because I feel like she's more accomplished.
Okay.
I do. I really
Okay.
I think she's more accomplished in terms of her career. I love AJ, but if we're doing the GOAT, I think I gotta go Alexa.
Okay. Alexa moves on. Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair.
Oh fuck. Holy shit, man. Oh man, that is a hard one.
Oh yeah, we brought the heat round one here.
Man.
All right, we got 1 Becky, 2 Becky. I don't know if I agree with that. Becky the GOAT. We got Becky the GOAT in the chat.
I think if we're talking about all around, superstar, like we're talking promo, ring, just the whole combination of things. I'm gonna go Charlotte.
Oh,
I'm gonna go Charlotte.
Lauren said Charlotte. Good Real Hunting said Charlotte based on the parameters that you set up in the first round.
Yeah, so I think I gotta go Charlotte on that for sure.
All right, we got Saraya, which you can use her as Paige and Saraya, and we've got Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley.
No questions.
I can't even, because she's not even done yet, and she's done so much.
I agree.
So
yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Bianca Belair or Mercedes Moné?
Damn. And you said this was AI?
Yeah. Yes. So the way I'm doing this now, because there's not enough of these bracket fights to.
AI over here putting 2 black women against each other.
Well, so here, let me work you through the explanation. I told AI to make the first round as difficult as possible. So obviously AI is racist.
Oh man!
When you start to see how these things come together, you're right. It was just like the 2 black girls. That's perfect.
Man, I gotta talk to AI, but oh man, I'm gonna go Bianca, because I think when this thing is said and done, I think Bianca is gonna be probably a top 5 women's wrestler of all time.
So, and this is not just because I'm Bianca stan. I think Mercedes has hurt herself. I think she's gone backwards. I didn't know that was possible, but
her going to AEW has definitely hurt her. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah,
it has tainted her career for sure.
I feel like that if you had this argument and Mercedes was still in WWE, I would even make the argument that her story kind of career was better. But I think that the other was a step back. So you're going Bianca.
And plus, their only one-on-one match, Bianca won.
True.
Okay.
All right, so now we're coming back to the top of this side of the bracket. Alexa Bliss or Charlotte Flair?
Charlotte Flair.
That's not a tough one. We don't need to.
Yeah, that's not.
We don't need to hash that out. We don't need to wait for chat on that one. Rhea Ripley or Bianca Belair?
Holy fuck!
This is the match we're waiting for. This is the match I'm waiting for. This is my dream match of all matches. This is my dream match. This is the match I want to see.
And it's got to happen in the next year or two. Like they're both in their prime.
I think it has to be WrestleMania this year. Vegas.
It has to happen.
That can be the one of the biggest matches on the card.
It cannot be. You cannot push this out, and it has to happen.
Well, one of them's gonna end up. So something's gonna happen. Someone's gonna get hurt. Someone's gonna go to Hollywood. Something's gonna happen.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh man. If we're looking at it as of like today, up to today, I think I'd go Bianca.
I mean, Rhea's ascension, even though it's been like crazy, it's still only like a year long. So far.
Like Bianca almost won 2 Royal Rumbles.
Yeah,
she's been champion 3-4 times.
Yeah, longest women's Raw women's champion,
tag champ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bianca.
I think we're good there. All right, Charlotte and Bianca. to go to the finals.
Oh man, I mean, just you got to go Charlotte.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. I'm not going to fight. This is not an argument. Bianca, we can talk. We can have this conversation 5 years from now, Mike, and it may be a whole different story. But right now, there's no argument.
Yeah. All
right, then we flip over to the other side. We got Trish Stratus versus Lita.
Oh wow. Probably Trish Stratus. She was more accomplished as a women's wrestler than Lita. Lita had a run, but like legacy wise, Trish Stratus I think is over there.
I'm with you. Yeah. I co-sign on that 100%. Bayley versus China. This is interesting because most of them have given you a pretty like in your face comparison that you can go, apple to apple. This is very spread apart where you go.
This is spread.
There's some elements of like history involved in this that you have to kind of work through.
Yeah.
Because I see like Good Real Hunting says Bayley's more accomplished, but there wasn't a lot for China was an intercontinental champion.
China, like back in the day, like she was a trendsetter. Like she changed the game a little bit.
I mean, there was just nobody in her league, so you can't accomplish much when there's just almost like she was having to be put into storylines with men.
Oh man, this is a really hard one, man. Because Bayley is accomplished.
Oh hell yeah,
100%. But like China also was like a trailblazer in a way.
I keep saying about Bayley. Bayley does nothing bad.
Yeah,
I don't know that she's the best at anything, but she does nothing at below an A level to me.
I probably lean Bayley in this.
I'm okay with that just because it's the old argument when you argue like Larry Bird or Magic Johnson. Sometimes it's just time, right? It's just the natural progression of time.
I think also because Bayley came up in the women's like evolution, and that has a big sway in my eyes. I think
I'd say that, and I would ask the chat and ask you. If you plucked China out and put her in today's era of wrestling, does she not look kind of like Braun Strowman? A little bit unathletic compared to like Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair. I don't know that she moves the same.
I see my comp to her would be Rhea Ripley.
Do you think she moves like a Rhea Ripley though? We have nostalgia for China, but I remember her being a little slow and lumbering.
Okay. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah. I'm with you. I would go Bayley too.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. We got Nikki Bella and Britt Baker.
I mean, Nikki Bella, she's just, I think that's, career wise. Britt Baker, I think if she had the right story and booking and proper company, I think this could be a different.
That's what I was going to say is, I know AI. I know you're trying to be inclusive here because you were racist earlier, but no female wrestler who has not stepped in a WWE ring can be the GOAT. Sorry, just can't. True. If you have not stepped in a WWE ring, you can't be the GOAT. Nobody from the Canadian Football League is the greatest football player to ever play. It just doesn't work.
I'm with you on that.
And I like Britt Baker, and I hope she comes to WWE, and I hope she gets those moments, but until then, Nikki Bella did it on the biggest stage.
Yeah.
Mickie James or Asuka? This is interesting too with Mickie James because while she's been in WWE, her best work I don't think is WWE.
Yeah. I would probably go Asuka because when I think Asuka, I think of that just dominant streak she had from NXT coming in. Yeah. I'd probably go Asuka.
In the same way I talk about Bayley, besides the language barrier with Asuka, there's not a lot you can complain about.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
All right, we're back around to Trish Stratus and Bayley.
Trish Stratus.
I think that's fair. I think it's hard. I mean, she's a pioneer. Nikki Bella or Asuka? Nikki Bella is a weird one because she fell
weird.
at a time where to me, right place, right time for her.
That is true.
She kind of outlived the model era of WWE, and she transitioned into the more athletic, the Charlotte Flair era and that stuff. So she kind of spanned the divas all the way through to like the Revolution.
I think Asuka's just a better wrestler.
I do too.
Yeah, that's probably where I go with it. Just if we're putting them together, I think that's probably where I have to go.
Good Real Hunting says not close. Asuka over Nikki.
Yeah, I think that's
Lauren says Nikki, but she liked Total Bellas.
Oh, okay.
Jim Crack says Asuka. Yeah, I mean that's Nikki Bella. If you're just talking like worldwide appeal, she appeals everywhere. But we're talking the GWOAT, as they call it.
Yes, the GWOAT.
The GWOAT. Trish Stratus or Asuka.
Trish Stratus.
Right? That's not a hard one. So here we go.
Can't really.
Here we go, Mike.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's gonna be good.
Charlotte Flair or Trish Stratus.
Whoo.
At first glance, this feels easy to me, but I think we got to talk it through a little bit because
got to. Yeah.
Trish is the pioneer. Without Trish, I don't know that there is Charlotte.
That is true. That is 100% a factual statement. Accomplishment wise, do we lean Charlotte?
I think so, but then you go longevity. Fucking Trish is still doing it.
That is true, but I do think Charlotte's going to be a long timer as well.
Okay. I'm just trying to make the championship exciting here because
and I think this is a tough one. This is a tough one because you have to really kind of dive into it.
Prime Trish versus Prime Charlotte would be a fire match, says Blaze God. I agree.
Prime Trish versus Prime Charlotte would be a fire match, but I think Prime Charlotte probably
run circles around her. Yeah.
Because I think the training and just the exposure, like, oh man.
Jim Crack says we picked Bailey over China using like time logic. Jim Crack, I'm going to change my logic to whatever it fits the situation I'm talking about. I will not stick to one set of rules.
And this is a match that I think it's still talked about today.
Still possible.
That should still happen.
Yeah, we think there's a chance we get Tiffany and Trish, right? I mean,
possibly.
Tiffany went in an interview after that interaction and was like, "Look, I'm ready whenever you are."
Yeah.
Wait. Jim Crack says this match has happened already.
It has? When did it happen?
Jim Crack. What are we talking about here, Jim?
I don't recall it.
2019 SummerSlam.
2019 SummerSlam.
Good Real Hunting says Trish and Charlotte happened at 2019. How are we not remembering this, Mike? We're bad fans. How am I not remembering We're bad fans, Mike.
Well, I will say 2019 is like just when I was getting right back. Like that.
I got you. That's before I was watching.
The mania going into New Orleans is like when I got right back in.
Yeah.
I'll probably go Charlotte on this one.
I'm
gonna go Charlotte. I'm gonna go Charlotte.
Charlotte is the official GWOAT of the casual wrestling community. We will raise a banner up in the Discord later tonight.
Hell yeah.
They're laughing at us. They said it's on YouTube. We can go watch it.
I get what. Listen,
required watching for me and you, Mike. We'll talk about it next week.
That's on me. I didn't know. That's why we got the chat.
That's exactly right. Keep us in line. This is a casual wrestling show, guys. There are holes in our knowledge that you guys are required to pick. This is a team effort.
Yeah.
So 100%. Charlotte beat Becky, which was a big first round, beat Alexa, and then beat Trish. All right. I'm with it.
Solid. That's solid.
You got anything else for tonight?
So one thing on the chat last night was Bobby Lashley.
Okay, let's talk about Bobby before we go.
I just wanted to hit that real quick.
Okay.
I think with Bobby Lashley and MVP, I think I would absolutely have to give Tony Khan like the head nod and like ultimate respect if he did reach out to them and brought them into AEW. Now, the only way that I think that it makes sense is if they recreate the Hurt Business,
which I saw they don't have the rights to the name,
which is fine.
But yeah, like, I agree.
Like if we get Shelton back and we get MVP as like kind of the talking stick, and we get Bobby Lashley, I could see a situation where that would make sense, and that would intrigue me a little bit. Like I might tune into AEW, every 2 weeks instead of maybe monthly. But yeah, I think that would be intriguing. But I'm with you though.
What do you think happened?
Like, how do you just let Bobby Lashley leave though?
Like, that's what and if so, like, because I'm working through this in my head. If it is this Hurt Business situation, right? If you've got fucking the Final Testament, fire them.
Yeah. Well, I just think like because I do remember, like, did they say like he was hurt this last, like, why he hasn't been until he's been hurt?
Yeah, but do you think that's not a cover from like there might have been some shit going on in the back?
It had to been, right? Because the Street Profits still get on TV.
Yeah, it felt like to me that his contract was coming up, right? Mm. And they probably sat down and had that conversation, and he got he had demands, as you should, and they probably didn't line up with Triple H's vision of, what were they called? The Pride? Yeah. That just didn't work as it compared to it, and I think it didn't work because in the back of our minds we go, just give us the Hurt Business.
Yeah, I would have loved to see the Hurt Business again, but I do really think that like Bobby fell victim of like the organization. Like he was in the transition between Vince and Triple H. Like that last big storyline that he had with Brock Lesnar, I think that was like literally the transition happening at
and the Bray Wyatt stuff.
Yeah, like that's
he was scheduled to do the program with Bray going into WrestleMania, and then that fell through, and they just didn't give him anything.
Yeah, and listen, man, like roster wise and storyline wise, like it was hard to try and probably piece Lashley in right now.
Is it though? You've got fucking Final Testament. They suck.
I'm talking about like terms of like title pictures, because I'm sure that's what he wanted.
I don't think that's what he wanted. I think he just wants to be relevant.
Okay.
I mean, for the last 2 years, it feels like they're probably telling Bobby, your time's coming, your time's coming, your time's coming. Just job out to Brock Lesnar. Just, Yeah. I imagine that he finally was like, no, fuck you guys. Like, put me on TV, not as the leader of a faction.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these guys, I don't know if it's about titles as much as it is like, put me front and center. Give me camera time. Let me work. I mean, yeah, like you just said with MVP and the Hurt Business. Put the Hurt Business back together. Give MVP some creative control and let them either sink or swim. And then Triple H can come back and say, look, gave you a chance. Didn't work.
Yeah, I just think if this is the final straw and he's not coming back, like it's a damn shame that we didn't get a proper Brock Lesnar feud, and it's a damn shame we didn't get Hurt Business or the Bloodline.
And this is the argument that like I think we make with the Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. Sometimes WWE, and maybe it was a Vince thing, put these things in their back pocket, and then the time passes and it just doesn't work.
Like Brock versus Omos at Mania. That could have been Lashley.
Don't remind me of that shit. That's insane. That's fucking insane.
Yeah. So that's all I got though.
Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Wednesday we'll be doing the Lauren Reacts video. Thursday is the Casual Wrestling Community Podcast. I put out a filler in the Discord for anybody who wants to jump on with me. I haven't come up with the topic yet, but I'll come up with it tonight and then post it. Anybody who wants to jump on can jump on, and we'll do a hypothetical topic. Friday is the SmackDown post show. Make sure to hit the like button and share the content. As always, I am Nerdy D. That is Milwaukee Mike, and we are out of here, guys.